with a huge round of applause, please welcome Toastmaster Gitanjali De for a speech title Special Ingredients to a Perfect Biryani. Special Ingredients to a Perfect Biryani, Gitanjali De.
Can I have a virtual raise of hands of all the foodies in the house who also believe that they are really good cooks? Okay, I can see we have many cooks in the house. Thank you for your response. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. I firmly believe that cooking and being a foodie is a deadly combination because you get to eat and enjoy anything and everything that you desire. I'm a big time foodie and a really bad cook at the same time. Still, I spend most of my internet time browsing through recipes and cookery shows. But I also get very envious of these bloggers who can cook all these dishes with so much of ease and to so much of perfection because cooking is a Herculean task for me. Due to this reason, I also secretly hate watching these shows as each and every video makes my eyes go wider and my stomach growl louder. But there was a time when I wanted to make cooking as my hobby. I had gained this sudden confidence that cooking is pretty easy and I'll do wonders in that field. So, to test my cooking skills, I decided to prepare my first wholesome meal. Normally, people choose Maggi or some kind of fry or something as their first dish. But I found these dishes to be pretty easy and doable. So I chose to prepare a fine dish of chicken dum biryani as my first dish. Now, before this, I had never even put a foot inside the kitchen. But I was not as bad as the trending Rashi who put an empty cooker on the stove. I knew those differences. Now, let me take you through the whole process of my biryani preparation. See, I first started by dicing, chopping, and marinating all the raw ingredients, along with destroying a few of the kitchen equipments. 2 hours or so, 2 hours later, my marination was done, and I started dumping everything inside that cooker. After 1 hour or so, I had to stuff everything inside that pressure cooker and I put it on the stove on high heat because I was hungry. According to the recipe, I had to wait for one whistle to go, after which my biryani would be done. So, with extreme excitement and insatiable hunger, I started eagerly waiting for that musical whistles. And after 20 long minutes, the whistle fell, and yes, my biryani was done. I waited for a few more seconds for the pressure to go down, after which I opened the lid, and what I saw inside was not the biryani which I had seen on Google. It was a sticky mass of rice, chicken, potato, and water of the consistency of khichdi, but nowhere near to anything edible. Now you're probably wondering why I narrated this whole cooking fiasco. You see, at times in our lives, we also tend to commit similar kind of mistakes, which I did during my preparation of this dish. Let me list it down for you. First was overconfidence. Since it was the first time that I was cooking, I could have easily chosen something simpler, taken it one step at a time. But I directly went in for the big bite because I was overconfident. Second was lack of awareness. Without analyzing my capabilities and comprehending my strengths and weaknesses, I overestimated my skills, due to which I thought different things about my skills and just dived into the situation. Similarly, at times, we tend to assume various kinds of perceptions about ourselves, which leads to difficult situations in future, which is too hard to handle. Third, being impatient. Throughout the process, I was pretty impatient. I just wanted the things to happen quickly. Likewise, at times we also become very excited and tend to lack patience and ultimately end up committing grave errors. You see, success is a delicious dish with patience, confidence, and self-awareness being the essential ingredients. You cannot jump or skip steps to prepare this dish. You definitely have to go through each of the steps with dedication so that you can prepare a delightful dish which you can enjoy for the rest of your life. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
So our first evaluator, Toastmaster Bimal. Toastmaster Bimal, are you ready?
Yes.
Great, thank you. I would request our Toastmaster Bimal to evaluate for today's speech, Toastmaster Devolina Roy. So Toastmaster Bimal Kundu, please.
Thank you, Toastmasters Nikta. Good evening, all fellow Toastmaster and dear guest, especially Toastmaster Gitanjali. Really, your speech was really so fabulous. I thoroughly enjoyed your speech. Your speech title was Special Ingredients with Perfect Biryani. You start your pitch asking the question of audience and you immediately grab the audience awareness. I like this. This is the perfect starting of any pitch. You have done great. Using the clarity of pitch, your vocal variety, and you thoroughly maintain with the audience your eye contact. And you uses your gestures with proper manners. Your opening of the speech was excellent. You starting try to understand the what is your main motto of these ingredients of biryani. You are a love foodie and also you are not so skilled. And so how you start your ingredients and you told the initial how to start your any cooking skills. You talk about the Maggie. Also, how you marinate the all ingredients. You explain the audience and uses your very comfort level. You are very comfort on the stage. I thoroughly examine it. Also, you talk about the massy of your biryani. When you open the your dish, you see you are the not so expert. Why you are the not so expert? Even you explain, because this is a need the overconfidence. You lose your biryani properly, and also you explain the what skill is required very patience and confidence. Sometimes it's a very necessary to any chef. So I like your uh, skill. Also, I recommended you, please, you sometimes you lose your little bit patience. You try to use your, I think the poses, to try to use your poses little bit better way. Sometimes you loses your poses. Only I suggest you, please use your poses and the sometime the transitions. Otherwise, your piece was so fabulous. I like this. I think in near future, if you use this, I think you will be the better speaker. That's why. Over to you. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, General Evaluator, Distinguished Toastmaster Brati Shankar Ghosh, and Toastmaster Gitanjali in particular. I must say that the, the confidence in which you took up in preparing this biryani, although it did not came up at the end, the one which you were targeting, but overall, still people would have liked to have it in terms of a mixed biryani or a mixed khichdi in whatever way. People would have liked it because the way you created it is you created from your heart, the way a mom creates it for his kids. So people would have loved to take it. So I would like to start with some of the commendations. The structure of the speech was properly maintained throughout your speech, starting with explaining about the deadly combination of cooking and fooding, then moving you towards on your daily checking of the recipes, and then starting with a huge task of not starting with a Maggie but taking a biryani, and then explaining us at the end what led it to the failure or the mistakes in it, but you realize what are the areas you need to come up for a solution, and next time you can overcome it. I would must say that your voice clarity and the gestures were really good. I would like to highlight some of the gesture where you have did like, yes, the biryani has been made. That gesture showed your excitement and your attachment to that particular food that you were preparing as a first time cooking. The comfort level throughout the speech was very well. Overall, you had audience awareness from the start by just asking one question to each and everyone. How many of you are foodie lover, and along with that, how many of you are also a cook, cooking? So, overall, it was a great speech, but I would like to give some recommendation to make it a much greater. Some of the times you were clasping your hands during your speech, which shows your signs of some nervousness. So I would recommend you to not to have clasping of hands and make it proper use as your body language, as a gesture to improve your confidence level and grow. Secondly, overall, when you provided the overconfidence, lack of awareness, and impatience word, the sum up could have been much better. in terms of these failures, or you can short out the failures in a short to cover up your speech. Overall, I would recommend it was a great speech, and would like to conclude that we would like to hear from more and more of you with this particular, and I personally would like to take this biryani or a khichdi as it was from your heart. Thank you, and over to you, General Evaluator.
So good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guest and Gitanjali in person. Gitanjali, I must say your speech was just fantabulous because through your speech, you have given a great message to all the audience. I have never seen someone telling about her hobby and how her hobby has given or taught a great lesson. But today, I have learned 3 lessons from you. So you started really well by asking a question because of your question, each and everyone who was listening to your speech got so much involved. You grabbed the attention. So kudos to you for that. Secondly, you have wonderfully showcased the things which you have made, like you were preparing biryani and the description of each and every item was really well done. It was, I must say that you can be a very good storyteller because you have described the cooker as well, the poor cooker. Oh, so beautiful. The description was really awesome. Third one I would like to say is like the reaction which you have given when you have told, when I have opened that cooker, everything was like a khichdi. Everything was so sticky. I was thinking, oh, what I have made. So uh, that description was really well done. Kudos to you on that. Overall, if I talk about your hand gestures, body movement, it was all well done. Seeing the virtual platform, I think each and every one who was listening to you was engrossed in your speech. And if I have to tell about me, then I was thinking that I am making the biryani. So well done with respect to your speech uh, description and the body and the conclusion. However, I have got 3 recommendations for you. First of all, your background was like moving. So I was bit disturbed because I was listening to you as well as your back. I was just disturbed by seeing your background. The second is like there was a video lag. I think the voice was not so clear. In fact, the video was also not so clear. And the third is like you should give some pause because when you have asked the question first and you should stop because everyone has raised hand, but you continued. So these are the 3 things. Overall, the speech was really good, Toastmaster Gitanjali, and I would say you to please come again and again, and you can be a really very good speaker as well as a very good storyteller. Thank you.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmasters, and to Toastmaster Gitanjali in particular. When you started your speech, you quickly grabbed the attention of an audience by asking the question, just like a way a master chef presents his delicacy. You had the of right mix of spices in the form of humor, like when you said eyes wider and stomach growls, or trendy Rashi to say. And the dish didn't end there. It was full of learnings, like the 3 learnings that we had was patience, confidence, and awareness can take you way ahead in your life. Now, the icing on the cake was when you were giving your speech, you were so involved and so engrossed in your speech that the emotions could be just seen through it. Like when you said the biryani did turned out to be like a khichdi and the disappointment in your face. But there are some recommendations that I, as a taster of your delicacy, would like to give you. One is that you can improve upon your voice modulation and body language. For example, when you gave the analogy, the alliteration of Greek mythology of Herculean task, you could have said it Herculean task instead of saying it in a very blatant, in a very flat manner. That could have been that could have given much more impact to the listener than just saying it in a very flat manner. The other recommendation that I would like to give you is to have a bit of control over your body language, which could have been a bit more intentional. Instead, it felt as if you served one chapati and two vegetables. It could have been crafted throughout. Like what I felt is that you are using your body, your body was completely to and fro throughout your speech. Instead, that could have been way more intentional. The third recommendation, though might sound a bit minuscule, but yes, since we are on a virtual platform, I would say your camera positioning could have been in a landscape format rather than the portrait format, so that it could have given a wider range for you to perform. A bit more of stage coverage could have been provided. In summation, I would like to say is that you could have a more controlled body language, and if you could work a bit more on your voice modulation with regards to your pitch, and otherwise the analogy with a message and a humor that was given in the speech was rightly placed. And if you could look after the recommendations that I, as a critique of your delicacy, have given, then I think you will be presenting way more delicious delicacies, mouth-watering delicacies in the form of your speech. Thank you, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Moving on to Sheetal. Sheetal, are you ready with your speech?
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Perfect, Sheetal. Let's go ahead.
I'm audible and visible now.
Yes, you are.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished Toastmaster, and my target speaker, Gitanjali, in particular. Today, you gave a speech wherein I was lost in the speech with your fantabulous storytelling. I have certain point of commendations for you. The first thing is, first 15 seconds of the speech is very important, and you caught us there by asking a question. Opening was fabulous. The second thing that got me really commending you is the use of your body gestures. They were open all the time, your body gestures were moving, and you were always involved in the speech. The third commendation that I got was your structure of your speech. It had an opening, it had a body, it had a conclusion. In the conclusion, you had a great message of 3 things that we must do to become a successful person. Well done on that. The commendations were, the positive part of your speech were really spectacular. Now, as we have seen, I now know you are not a great cook, but I also know you are definitely a great speaker. But every great speaker wants to become a champion and exemplary speaker, just like our guest for the day, DTM Brati Shankar Ghosh. And for becoming that, I have certain recommendations for you that will take your speech to the next level. The first recommendation from my side is humor. When we talk of humor, we have to bring in humor that creates laugh. And at that point, we have to use the pause as well. I must commend you that you wanted to bring in humor, but at some points it blasted, because you would have created it pretty well. When you were talking about that khichdi, that emotion thing, that pause would have created that more of impact in humor. The second thing was use of props. I hope you were at home and you would have easily brought in props like cooker or maybe a chicken for that case. That would have made your story even better. I have seen that being done by a very eminent speaker like DTM Abdul. That creates amazing charisma on the screen. The third thing that I would like you to do is improve your camera alignment. When you were talking in the camera, you were in the lower part of the camera. So you are not talking in the face of the camera as I am doing right now. that actually distracts us. The backdrop was flying and then the camera alignment, due to which sometimes it was being felt that you are looking downwards. Again, you had a great speech. The recommendations that I have given you is just to make your speech even better. You had a great storytelling skill, you had a great opening, you had a great gesture, and you're standing up, giving the speech added color to your speech. But if you focus on bringing in more humor, using more props, and having a proper backdrop and camera alignment, I feel you are going to be a champion speaker, just like our evaluator and the other DTMs that we have seen in the virtual screen as well. Over to you, Mr. Evaluator.
Perfect. Okay, moving on to Anik. Anik, are you ready with your evaluation?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Good evening, DTM Rati, fellow Toastmasters here, and a special master chef today who taught us the secret ingredients for success, Toastmaster Gitanjali in particular. It's my privilege to evaluate your speech and share with you few ingredients that can make this speech even better. So let's first talk about those ingredients that went well in your speech, and I have 3 commendations for you. First, what a wonderful message. You said it's a very simple life lesson. You need to be patient and self-aware and confident in life. But the way that was crafted through the Biryani story made it better. Gave the audience a takeaway. It got stuck in their minds. And the best part is you first showed the negatives. That these are the mistakes and then the positives. So you ended on a positive note. That's what I liked about your speech. Second, when you were telling about the mistakes, overconfidence or lack of awareness, you were giving examples from life, the analogy that you were not aware about the ingredients properly or the process of preparation. Similarly, in life, we are not aware of many scenarios when we take the plunge and end up making a mess like a khichdi. Now that helps audience to relate, because not everybody can relate at times to the story that you are telling. So sharing simple life experiences puts the message right through the audience. And third is your humor. When you're telling about the empty cooker of Rashi, I actually can imagine that scenario. Or when you said that this was nothing more than the consistency of a khichdi. Or even better, foodie and cooking, a deadly combination. So that was well present in your speech all throughout. Now, having said that, let me add few ingredients more to make your speech even better. First, like I said, you had analogies for the mistakes or the ingredients that you should not have. We can do the same for the ingredients that you should have. You concluded by saying you should have patience, self-awareness, and confidence. Maybe you can give an example. Say if you are patient in life, when you wait for the proper timing, should not be impatient with your new ventures, you can have a better success. Or when you say, when you are going for a new plunge, make everything around you, know everything around you, take that awareness with you, and then take the plunge. So what happens is it creates also a sense of action in the mind of the audience, and they not only have a takeaway, they also have a little bit of call to action at the same time. And second, when you're concluding, you could have concluded with that same question that you started with. How many of you are a foodie that you started with the question? You could have concluded, now how many of you are ready to cook the success in your life, which may be as delightful as the biryani? So that would have ended the story on the same lines as you had started. And finally, a third recommendation, I found there were several times when you had a back and forth movement, which was not necessary or added any value to the speech. So overall, it was a wonderful speech, well-crafted, confident delivery. But if you can take care of the concluding part for the audience takeaway and avoid unnecessary movements, this would be as delightful as a finger-licking biryani. Over to you, DTM Rati.
Good evening, fellow Toastmaster, dear guest, General Evaluator, and Toastmaster Devolina in particular. Toastmaster Gitanjali in particular, sorry. Toastmaster Gitanjali, your title itself is a very tasty. When I saw your title, that special ingredients to a perfect biryani, immediately the water come to my tongue. You started with your question. in your hand gestures was very abrupt, very perfect. So as you are not giving the chance to the audience to go away. The first, another which I like most, that is humor. It is very tough to give humor in your speech, but you did that. Like when you say, after making the biryani, when I saw it was a sticky mud with chicken, rice and potato. Immediately, what we are expecting that it will be like best biryani, but instead of that, it was a little different. Third, you are a good story creator. You can see, you know, when you able to create imagination in the other's mind or audience mind, the stage is yours. You own the audience. That is very important. It is a relative and relevant thing when you are telling about the biryani. Now, giving to the recommendations. First, which I think that your facial expression and use of prop. When you say, see, this is the biryani. When I saw that I am able to tell you the message about the biryani, wow, this is my biryani, I have made it. Like that. On that time, your facial expression should be little bit different. But after you open the cover, you see, oh my God, it is not the biryani, it is sticky mud. Like that. Your facial expression and props should be appropriate. Second, when you say khichdi, that is the vernacular language, you should convert into a hodgepodge. You did not do that. Number third, how many of you believe that practice makes the things perfect? Please raise your hand. Most of us. You gave 3 messages like patience, confidence, self-awareness, but practice is not there. If practice is not important, then Virat Kohli would not have practiced for 4 or 5 hours in a day. If practice is not important, then Muhammad Ali did not practice 4 or 5 hours in a day. If practice is not important, then Michael Phelps did not put his time in a water for 4 to 5 hours in a day. So practice is very much important. All in all, Gitanjali, it was a wonderful speech. You are confident, flawless, smiling faces, only little bit improvement on your facial expression and prop usage, and most of what the add practice word into a message, it will be a different speech all in all. I am eager to hear you complete biryani in your next speech. Over to General Evaluator.